I'm Bruce. I'll be doing the camera work and narration for you. There goes Foster in the distance, about to pick up a piece of color out of the annealer right now. And we're doing these YouTube live aperitif, if you will, which I found out recently is alcohol that stimulates the appetite. But what we're hoping to do here is stimulate your appetite for more glass blowing. So we're going to have about a 20-minute presentation today. Foster's going to make a Longstem Jack-in in the screenshot at the opening of the video. So he's going to go through that process with us, show how it's made and everything. And then shortly thereafter, we're going to flip on over to from YouTube to Facebook, and we do a 2-hour Facebook presentation at that time. So doing, Foster?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you, whoever's there?
Yeah.
Who's joining us? Thanks for being with us.
So what color have you got on the end of the pipe, Foster?
We have an opalescent pink color that we sometimes refer to as...
Very, very good. Okay.
Right. So the color is just about ready to go, and I'll let you take it from there, Bruce.
All right. There is picked the color up on the end of the blowpipe. It was preheated to 900 degrees, and now after putting it into the 2300 degree glory hole and the brightness of it, he's shaping that little blob of color, and he's going to blow into the pipe, trap the air, and the compressed air will expand into the color. And it now takes on more of a rounded shape on the end. And once he gets that to where he wants, he'll take his finger off, stop the pressure increase, let it cool, because were he to gather immediately, the heat from the gather in the 1000-degree furnace would cause his bubble to collapse. So now the color's starting to show a little more true. And when he comes out of the glory hole, it'll probably, out of the furnace, it'll probably be glowing a brighter look here. These are what the final shape will look like. So he's got the dusty rose or pinkish color, and these are what he'll be making today. He's going to make just one right now, and it's going to have a longer stem on it. Back he comes with a gather of glass. Gathered forms surrounds the color, that is. And you see the color core right there. He's going to use a wooden block. This is a cherry wood mold, and we use fruit wood because of the nice tight grain. You might see a little bit of smoke coming up off of it now. It's kept in water all the time, and that's to keep it from cracking, and it forms a bed of steam for the glass to ride on. Now he's pressurized the air in the pipe again, and now he's got the color expanded throughout. He's going to use the block once more, simply to chill the outside and shape it. Just as he did with the solid color chunk, he has to let this cool a little bit again. So back to the furnace he goes. Our furnace holds about 400 pounds of molten glass at 2000 degrees. And we use clear glass over there so that we can add a variety of colors. We could, by adding metal oxides, melt different colors of blue glass. Well, we'd have to make 400 pounds of stuff made out of blue, and he wouldn't be able to make this pretty pink Jack in the Pulpit. So Foster's bringing the glass over now. Once again, from the heat, it starts to glow brightly. Instead of using the marver, he's going to come back over for a little bit of block work again. And he let gravity elongate that just a little bit. Now he's back to the glory hole, which runs at about 2300 degrees, and that's for reheating. We have just a minute or two to work the glass once we take it out of the heat source before it starts to get a little bit stiff and harder to work. So by constantly going back and forth to the glory again, and off we go. Now he may have a little bit of shaping to do right here. I'm not positive. Maybe he's going directly into dip mold or optic mold. He's going to blow real hard into that, and when he comes out, the glass will have ridges in it, and that's caused from the optic mold, the glass expanding into it. It creates optic impressions in the glass. It's a decorative technique. It's not to form the glass into its final shape. After a reheating, you can also see how hot this glass is by how much it moves. He has to turn it constantly, or else it will drop to probably one of the more difficult skills in glass blowing, is keeping control of the hot, gooey glass that wants to drip. Right now he's using his jack plates to cut a little button in the bottom of the piece. This will form the base of the stem that a foot will go around. It'll also give him something to grip onto and pull the stem out from the body. Air, just by blowing hard into the blowpipe, it has expanded the bubble. So from here, he'll reheat it again. He may swing it out a little bit if he wants a little more length, but at some point he'll grab that little button he created at the bottom of the piece and start to pull it out. That normally in the glass blowing process, we form the lower half to 2/3 of the piece first. Here he goes with the spin to elongate it a little. Now he's got the body a little bit longer on that. You can see he'll reinforce the neckline. That'll begin to pull and take the stem for a longer length. And that's how he creates the stem. That button is where he'll put the foot in a few moments. He's checking with his calipers to make sure he's got the right measurement. And he's using a pair of what we call paper pegs, little metal bladed jacks that you see. They steal less and they help shape it. Yes, we do keep buffering. Some of you have commented. We have a little problem with the Wi-Fi connection today, but it seems to come back each time. Right now, Josh is going to flash the piece. So flashing is just a momentary exposure to the heat, and it just goes in for a few seconds. This keeps it from cracking. It needs to keep the glass above 1,000 degrees at least. It's a little better maybe to keep it even a little warmer than that. Once you get down below 1,000 though, the glass will start to shatter, and we wouldn't want that. No, So Josh now is going to occasionally push that all the way into the glory hole, while Foster is over by the furnace gathering the glass for a foot. So he'll bring this blob of glass back, and he'll use his jacks to create a point of separation where the glass will flow more easily off the pipe. Josh raises the piece to vertical. Foster will drop the glass onto that button that was created, a nice little landing pad, and then he'll cut that off. Josh keeps the pipe turning to keep it centered for him, and Foster grabs what we call footboards. Two pieces of wood hinged together. One piece is a little bit narrower and has notches in it, and those notches extending around the stem. And by turning the pipe and squeezing the boards together, he makes the glass thinner in the foot and starts to give it some shape. Once he's satisfied with that, he'll go back for a reheat. You saw a lot of steam coming off of that footboard. That's because the water was evaporating in contact with the hot glass. He won't be there very long at the glory hole this time, just enough to get the foot malleable again. And then he'll come back and he has a really nice little carbon tool that he uses for shaping the foot. One side of it is flat, which will press the bottom of the piece flat. And then when he turns it over, he'll use the tapered edge to create a nice sloped profile for the foot. He'll do this, and when he's satisfied with it, make sure the bottom is flat. And then once again, he'll hand it off to Josh, who will flash it while we do the transfer. The transfer is simply taking the piece from the blowpipe and attaching it to another iron, which we call a punty. And there'll be just a little bit of glass on the end of that. It'll act like a bit of glue almost. He'll stick that to the bottom of the foot, and then he'll break the piece free of the blowpipe. Because who wants a Jack-in the Pulpit with a 4-foot piece of steel attached?
So do we have anybody joining us, Bruce?
We do. In fact, Liz, I think it's Liz, I'm having a hard time reading it, has commented a couple times and mentioned the problem with the internet. Okay, so now Foster's going to place the iron into the middle of the foot, and then he's going to roll both irons. And this is going to help him center the piece, center the punty on the piece, a tap of the file on the glass, and he's broken free. So now that we've made, as I said, the bottom half to 2/3 of this piece, it's time to finish up the top. And you'll notice that he doesn't have the whole piece put into the glory hole yet. The foot and the punty are still kind of hot. but he needs to begin melting the lip area. Every once in a while, he will push the whole piece in for a flash. That's because this joint, the punty joint that's holding the piece together, is a little bit delicate, and were he to let that get too cold, it would crack and break off. So every once in a while, he'll give it a flash while he's reheating the lip, and then right before he goes back to the bench, he'll take an even longer flash just to make sure that it gives him working time at the bench. That neck area, or lip, was cold enough to fracture, so this is probably about the longest reheat he has to take in the piece, because that cold glass has to be warmed back up. And you can see an orange glow around the tip of the end of the piece there, and that's where the heat is located. He's using another wooden tool now called a steam cone. And just like all the other tools, the water evaporates and forces the glass outward. So it's like having a blowpipe when you don't have a blowpipe. There was just a bare opening in the end of that, and he needed to inflate it. We couldn't have accomplished that by blowing on it like a Coke bottle, so by putting the steam cone in there, he's inflated the glass. Right now he's working on heating probably about the upper inch or so of the piece. In a few moments he'll open that up and fold it outward so that he can make the characteristic Jack-in-the-Pulpit shape, which I'm going to show you again real quickly. There's two of them right there, and that's his next set of steps, is to work toward that. He's going to blow it up just a little more with the steam cone. You can see the diameter increase. And while there's still some heat in it, he'll take his jacks and begin to open it. As the glass begins to cool and get a little stiffer, then he has to go back and reheat. Right now, he's setting the sides a little bit, changing the profile. And while he goes for the reheat, which is not a lot of fun necessarily to watch, you can see now that he has created this slope here. This portion here is created by the bubble that he blew out with the steam cone. So we'll walk back over and watch him start to work on that. Again, this is a Longstem Jack-in-the-Pulpit. Totally appropriate for upcoming Valentine's Day. And we'll follow Foster back over to the bench in just a moment as he gets the heat settled into the top of the vessel. He'll be taking his metal jack blades again, and he begins to open it up and create kind of a tapered conical shape. Then right behind that cone, squeezing it down, creates the smaller aperture that he has in the top of the vessel. He's using the edge of the jack blades to kind of flatten it a little bit, and he's going to go back for more heat. So now from this folded back lip that he has there, after he gets that straightened to his satisfaction, he'll begin to fold it and pull it. And we'll show you how that shows up. Where it's folded over, it comes down like this. It's pulled up from that point. Right now he's going to work on flattening that end so it gives him a nice profile. And now he's folded that end up and the other end down from opposite sides. And now from the one that's standing up is where he'll pull it with his tweezers in a moment. So again, he has to go back to the glory hole and reheat. We'll get a good view here of how deep he's heating. See how he's just got the upper reaches of the vessel in there. Once the glass softens, he'll hold it vertically, grab it with his tweezers, and pull up. By pinching hard with the tweezers and then beginning to pull. And you pull slowly with glass. You don't try to do everything really fast. And there we go. There's your shape of the Jack-in-the-Pulpit right there. Marvelous, Foster.
Excellent, thank you.
All righty.
Now, I'll have to take it off. Put her away.
So the last step in the glass blowing process is the longest one, the annealing. That glass where we lay it on the just lay it on shelf right now would break in a matter of minutes because it would cool too quickly. So what Foster will do is use this butter knife to cool the side of the punty joint. He's not trying to knock it off, obviously, because it would hit the floor by falling straight down. But what he'll do in a moment is get rid of the butter knife. Josh will hold the pipe, and Foster will use the hammer handle to hit above his hand, and the punty will break free. And sometimes the punty's on a little bit tighter than we think. But you have to go gently at this. Every punty, if you think of it this way, has a vibration rate or a pressure at which it will break. And if you exceed that, the piece breaks. So Foster has gone back to the glory hole to drive a little more heat in the glass. And he's also using a little drip of water right at the punty juncture. And this time, the tap with the tweezers brings it right off. So by being patient and taking his time and going back for another reheat, rather than playing whack-a-mole with his Jack-in the Pulpit, he's able to save the piece, put it away in the annealer, and it lives to be sold another day. Thank you for joining us, and if you like, skip on over to Facebook. We're going to do our Facebook Live presentation in just a moment. So thank you much, Foster.
No, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you here shortly on the live stream on Facebook.